Thank you very much, Freak. Unfortunately for Team Liquid, Damwon with a very, I would say, slow, cool, calm, and collected game from the moment they got the advantage. Before we jump into kind of the replays and the picks and bans, I just like to kind of gauge what it means if you're Team Liquid and you're very hyped to step on stage here, and then you get beaten in such a slow fashion, in such a fashion that you get choked out by a team like Damwon.
Yeah, I was just talking to that. I was just talking about that. It was just like I would have loved to see TL. Just at some point, it was kind of obvious it was going to be lost, and they would have just like had a bit more fun, tried to do like some more crazy engages. I don't know, Sion ults in and Nivea puts the wall, something like that. I just felt like they just slowly got choked out and they lost, and they're playing a game like they're sitting on stage right now, and yeah, it would have been more fun.
Yeah, I know what you mean with that sentiment. So let's run down how it exactly played out, because we were quite positive about the picks and bans, and I think we should still be. At the beginning of the day, Azael, you said, yes, Team Liquid is always going to give you standard, but they can definitely show you some new things as the Anivia here in the pick and ban.
Yeah, the style of the play was still going to be the same, right? It was going to be about team fighting with double lift, but they bring out the Anivia, they bring out Sion, so they mix up things a little bit. But to me, the most interesting thing was about that pre-game preparation, the lane swap, the early minutes of the game, which was so impressive from TL. But honestly, after those first couple minutes, there was nothing positive to say.
Well, we don't have to get there yet, because we can talk about how good that preparation was, because likely that is something that they can fall back on. Of course, not exactly the same, but something we know they can prep for the following games. What was so good about this pre-game plan and the first couple of levels from Team Liquid?
So, I mean, coming into this one, just taking a look at the draft, I think that one of the key points of it, kind of talking about the level 1, was the fact that they went for the late invade. I know you wanted to talk about this one specifically, Mithy, because it was nice to be able to see the Sion basically raid his own camps knowing that they were going to switch sides.
Yeah, they got such a huge lead. The Sion got level 2. He had augment. He was undiveable. He was soaking all the XP. The Kayle couldn't get a single minion. They even got a tower plating top when the towers are super strong. You don't really do damage to the towers in the early game. So as we can see here, he nearly gets level 2 just from doing those camps, and then they're now gonna zone the Kayle of 3 waves on top lane, get 1 plating. I wonder how ahead the Sion was in XP. I think it was like 1 or 2 levels up, probably.
Yeah, I think nearly 2 levels up, and it's hard to have a better start than this, right?
Yeah.
Sion, because he can actually do the inting Sion strat and you take down that red buff, then he walks back to lane. He's now already level 2 with the first minion or 2 that he got of experience, so they can no longer dive him. Even if you dive him, there's a good chance with Glacial Augment of him trading back multiple kills, and he did not expend his teleport. Kayle on the other side, he doesn't get experience, can't farm, is losing turret plates. They created such a monumental advantage out of this that I really think they just needed to then go back to standard lanes instead of trying to overforce and really explode that advantage, which is where they kind of went wrong at that Ocean Dragon.
And what I enjoyed before we even get to that point was the fact that even the solution that Damwon had, you know, keeping Yasuo in the Sion lane, and then also sending Beryl up topside so at least Kayle can get the wave underneath her, those are good matchups. And at worst, there's nothing that Kenyon can really do to upset it, get any ganks to the bot side of the map. There's no pressure that you have.
Indeed, and then now let's look at that detrimental replay for Team Liquid around the Dragon at 6 minutes. What is kind of the first mistake here, Azael or Mithy?
They did start Dragon when Yasuo was in base, and like they did have tempo. It made sense, but they are like level 4. The Ocean Drake does a lot of damage.
Yeah, I think they really overestimated how fast they can kill this, right? They saw that the Yasuo went back to base. They're like, great, free Ocean Drake, and we lane swapped. We're here first, but you have a pickaxe as really your only damage item that has been purchased out. You can't actually just instantly kill that dragon like you can later in the game.
It was a bit too early, and that was also a very, very well-played fight by Damwon. Yeah, they definitely won the right targets and made the best out of it, but just a bit too early for the Ocean.
Even if you make the stretch and say that they had a numbers advantage, Anivia had a huge wave that she was dealing with too. So even in that case, you're going to have Showmaker that's going to be there and pivoting for the
And I think we're looking at it a lot from the perspective of Team Liquid, but then I think we have to commend Damwon for how they play after this, because they really make sure to cover all their fundamentals to push their advantage forward.
Yeah, it was super methodical. They played on sides, didn't take any risks really, and they just made sure that, I mean, they were out scaling really, I would say so. Like the Yasuo got to be 2 levels up on Kai'Sa, and just everyone was like farming so much that they had no rush to win the game. They slowly played it out and eventually got the back. Baron.
Even their prep for this Dragon was actually really good because we were talking, we're saying, all right, this Infernal is maybe the last shot that TL has. You know, you talked about kind of taking a shot. This perhaps was it. And TL did have vision prior to that Dragon, but they actually lost it because of a deep ward that Dom1 had over by TL's blue buff, where they spotted Xmithy and Jensen going over there. That allowed Dom1 to come into the river, take the vision back, and be the first team to deploy.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think TL did also, even though they screwed up on that ward, they did a very good job at swapping around the map so that they eventually had forced Damwon to swap on bad tempo to get the right matchups and stop dodging. And they did get tempo on the river because of that, so they were set up to win that fight.
Two things I want to hit on still is, one, the Oppo player of the game, Raz, because you even before this game said we have to look at Beryl because we look at that weaker bottom lane of Damwon in general, as has been in the LCK, but Beryl has been a standout player.
Yeah, because in that context, it's about the 2v2, but Beryl is an incredibly smart support player that finds himself out on the map, supporting either mid or top. And in this case, recognizing that the Kayle was going to be in a really bad position, of course gets sent up top side to deal and help Kayle out. And also in the second Dragon fight, I think he was just instrumental in being able to open up the map. So I think, once again, it's a pretty tough one to award player of the game, just because of the nature of this game, but it was a smart play from him.
No, I totally agree with you. Even the fight that we just saw there, he did a great ult, and he was also there 10 minutes for the Herald, so definitely. Like, Gragas is also not an easy champ to play, from my own experience.
Methodical play from Damwon. Before we have to go, I just want to get kind of a final thought on Team Liquid, because nothing is lost here, but such a game does make you feel a type of way. However, they have no time to feel like that. They are up on stage again right now versus AHQ. Azale, what do you want to see?
I just want to see them be able to mentally reset, you know, laugh it off, say, all right, we entered the Dragon, who cares? The early game plan was great. And honestly, they played it out fine from that disadvantage, but they were pretty doomed. So I need to see confidence. I need to see, you know, preparation that had for this first game in the second one as well, because if they play to their best, they should win.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you wanted to get in and then I cut you off. What do you want to say?
No, the psychological feeling that, like what I mentioned earlier, that it would have been. Yeah, I just hope that they really stay strong and they don't stress out too much and get the winning.
Absolutely, they need to shake it off. Up next is Team Liquid, who return to the stage to face AHQ. Before we go to break, make sure you enter for your chance to win a World's Prestige Edition chair from Secret Lab. Head on over to secretlab.co/LOL Esports and select your favorite team at Worlds to enter the raffle. The contest is open through November 11th, but you might as well sign up now as we're going to break. Do it.
Into the kill, Douglas out of the way, but a nice spike comes through. Good pickup there for Canyon. Nuclear on the chase, finds first blood. Shoemaker in for number 2. They're gonna flash wave then, puts down the wind wall, but doesn't stop this one. The knockup is there. They're gonna find a lot of damage. He's still jumping away. Will finally. And with a split on bottom lane, Double's not here. Look for the body slam into the knockup. The ult comes across as well. That's an aim, and that's gonna get poached as well. Looking for a potential knockup. They're gonna find the hook on in. Here comes the battle. That's gonna end it all. Into the mid line they go. Over the top goes Nuggery. Trying to knock down Doublet. 1 for 0 so far. Look at a second. Knockup's come around. 2 for 0. Impact's gonna fall now as well.
And we thought Damwon was just going to try and scale into infinity. Eventually they said, you know what? We're probably strong enough to force a 5v5 right there. They get a 5-for-1 at the very end, and they kill the Nexus.
back to Berlin for the final day of the group stage. It's Team Liquid versus AHQ Esports Club. TL back on stage. One thing to note about the Worlds format, if you're the highest in the group, you can choose whether or not you want to play back-to-back or you want your game spread out on the day. Team Liquid clearly chose that they would like to play back-to-back, so hope this warm-up does make them look better today.
Yeah, if they're looking for a long day today, cutting that first game to be the second game of the day might shorten things, but then you're also in situations like this where you're right off of a loss, you're playing against a team who's really looking to play spoiler, AHQ now 4-4, and this was actually AHQ's closest game to a win in the first round robin. They had a massive goal lead, and it was Xmith who had to kind of bail TL out with variance, so TL has to kind of regroup after that loss.
And if you cast your mind back to how that game was playing out, a lot of chaos created for AHQ. They had themselves the Kiana composition that was able to catch Jensen out so many times. Jensen coming off a pretty rough performance on that Olympian as well. And I always debate to myself, what are those kind of games where you have a game plan, you mis-execute one game and you get shut out, are easy to shrug off or harder? Because you have to sit on the frustration for such a long time to try and stall. However, it is very easy to kind of do the root cause analysis of what went wrong.
And I think it depends on the team, right? How regretful would TL be from that win? How much did they feel like they missed out versus what was their mindset coming into the day? Was it that we just need to pick up one win and then we'll go from there because that would be enough to force some tiebreakers? Because where we are right now, Liquid is still in control of their own destiny. If they win every game for the rest of the group stage, they will advance, even if that means winning the tiebreakers.
Right now, the best record deal combined is 4-2. That is going to be enough for a tiebreaker. We'll see how this goes, though. They do need to pick up some wins. Technically, even with the loss, they can stay alive if they can beat IG, and so does AHQ. But that, of course, makes that really dicey, and we'll stop with the bracketology. But TL would certainly love a win right now. They banned away the Kiana. Kiana Rumble was how AHQ nearly took down Liquid last time.
And looking at some of their bans on the blue side, the Kiana is good against AHQ because they beat them with the Kiana Rumble last time. But I don't like to see banning away so many kind of meta-defining picks as a blue side team. Oftentimes you want to kind of force the other team into that so they can't target as many bans.
Yeah, I completely agree. However, in this specific matchup, I think that one of the ways AHQ is going to look to beat Liquid is introducing some, disruption into the game, being able to speed it up, change the rules. We saw Liquid try and do that last game with the lane swap. We know the way that AHQ like to do that is through heavy skirmish around Rainbow, trying to drag Ziv early to the play because he is one of the star carries on this lineup. So I like the fact that most of the bans are to deny that play pattern.
Yep. Well, this lines up for first pick Zaya. Kaisa banned. They've already gotten rid of the Kiana Rumble.
The hover. They got 20 seconds to make the choice. They decided they really do want to do that, but I think putting your eggs in double basket is a good choice for Team Liquid.
And now obviously you know that's coming if you are AHQ. So what do you have in response? Is it going to be something like a Morgana pick? Is it going to be, I was going to say, maybe a Veiga or Vega, because I can never remember how to pronounce that champion's name. However, it doesn't look to be the case. It's going to be an Ezreal instead.
I think we've seen Ezreal as a thing you can play because I have just make the mid success. One of the more important things AHQ is going for is the Jarvan takeaway. It's something that they banned against TL in the first game, and it's something they wanted for themselves here. I think the TL probably ends this with a ton of progress, but we'll have to see.
Stay dead.
Letting the time tick down, they're going to lock that one in, and then we'll see if they do indeed go for the same jungle matchup. TL, one thing we did see of them at MSI, where they made it to the finals, they beat the world champions Invictus Gaming, was TL playing TL style. It wasn't about what are the meta picks, all these heavy flex things. It was about Team Liquid saying, no, we're going to play very standard team fighting, we're going to play around double, and that was good enough to take down the reigning world champions, that BO5. And now we'll see if TL wants to bring out something else that's unique to them as they go around. And okay, yes, Jensen's second game on LeBlanc here.
I can see it. I think that Xmithy's champion pool is going to get a little pinched in the second phase of bans, but based on the way that Jensen performed in the last game they played, where he died a bunch of times, trying to get him onto a champion that he's had success on. If we remember, Jensen's LeBlanc against Damwon was probably his best game of the group stage, so completely understand why they would pick LeBlanc here.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you. When you have a look at the Lissandra response, it is something that has fallen out of favor just because of the fact that Lissandra's mana costs were increased, and she now really struggles to be able to deal with the wave clear. So LeBlanc wins the push in this matchup that has very good priority on the road, or if an isolated lane get junglers involved, there is real potential to there for Rainbow might even force Jensen to take something like a cleanse. However, I feel like it is no longer a proactive matchup. I feel like more options are available for Jensen to be able to take over the map.
It's more of a late game counter because the cooldowns and the mana cost will increase. So even if you're willing to burn through your mana pool early game, you just can't shut the waves of Lissandra the same way as
Looking at the last few top lane options, AHQ get the last pick of this entire draft. They need support. They need a most likely top laner. We're really expecting List to be mid, but we've seen her in other places. Just theoretically an option. Elise goes away, so we still have yet to see a jungler out of TL.
And now this becomes a difficult choice for AHQ because I would love something like a Morgana for the laning phase. Morgana and Real would be very good at guaranteeing the shove down bottom lane, could disrupt a lot of the aggression that's going to come out of Liquid. Now the problem is when you play these mage supports and there's something like LeBlanc on Summoner's Rift, you tend to die a lot. So I wonder what Ysera's options could be. This is another mage that could do all of those things, but has the added safety of being able to disappear inside an ally.
Yeah, hard for LeBlanc to kill an untargetable cat.
A little bit.
Yeah, it would have been this or Leona as far as I'm thinking. This is a safer play for them.
Liquid really having to play tanks up on the top side here. It could be their last day of Worlds, and no, it goes with the gangplank. They're gonna put impact on a champion that you can generally leave alone and will still have an impact on the game.
And Liquid fans, I challenge you. Put the draft side by side, what we saw in game number 1, now what we're seeing in game number 2, and just pick your favorite, because I think coming into Worlds, Assassin for Jensen, being able to dominate the laning phase. Weak side top lane of Impact with great global accent, and maybe the best aggressive bottom lane and jungle on the patch. This looks so much more promising, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm pretty shocked that they were able to last pick Gragas with the priority that X-Liquid and TL has had so far in this World. So, quite happy about this draft for Team Liquid, and we'll see what AHQ is going to do, because it looks like they ended up going with a lot of counter matchups. We saw Vizicachi able to pull out Cho'Gath as a counter matchup to the Gangplank, and I said at the time, hey, maybe we'll end up seeing this in the quarterfinals. But this was also several days later. Ziv has potentially been able to refresh on his Cho'Gath mechanics since he's such an old school top laner who has played it much in the past.
And now I'm going to throw this one out there, right? Do you guys watch The Simpsons, Simpsons fans?
Yeah,
Have you seen?
pretty sure.
I've watched like the first 300 episodes.
Okay, have you seen the episode where Homer tries to build the barbecue?
That one, no.
And you see the box, and then he lowers it, and he's like, why doesn't mine look like that? I feel like when you have a look at Liquid's lineup, right, it's like perfect. It all fits together. Everything's coming. And then you look at all the counter picks that you kind of see on the side of AHQ, and you see where it's going, but then you say, why doesn't my team comp look like that? I feel like it's just such a strange... This is... A lot of the champions like to go backwards, like to kite out. Then you have a supremely hard engage, 80 carry, jungle duo. And I just don't see, apart from a lane counter pick, what Cho'Gath really does in this composition.
So it's going to be an exciting game. All the same, AHQ may be limited, but Team Liquid still have a chance at being the one and only North American team into the quarterfinals. Beating AHQ here would certainly help them do that. Let's get into the game. We've got some Team Liquid fans in the audience, and of course plenty watching on the stream right now. TL, the last hope of the LCS. AHQ, sadly, their entire league failed to make it out the LMS. They can play spoiler here.
They certainly can, and once again, we have a very scientific comp coming out of Liquid. We understand exactly what this composition wants to be able to do. They have a very good 2v2 in the bottom lane. They're going to look to gain pressure in the mid lane, rotate for bot lane dives. They have the gangplank to supplement all of that. However, on the side of AHQ, they have picked purely lane counters, I feel. And when you do that, you must win lanes.
And it seems like they at least have CC follow-up to chain with the Jarvan gank. So TL will probably look to either 2v2 mid and then crash that pressure bot lane versus just winning 2v2. AHQ is going to be looking to either kill Jensen or go up top and shut down it.
And with the one thing I will say about the AHQ comp is I feel like they do come online slightly earlier. Ezreal at 2 items outperforms most AD carries that are currently in meta, especially once the transform of the Muromatic is there. Jarvan as well as Lissandra are also just great pick tools in the mid game. So I feel like AHQ are going to have the window around 15 to 20 minutes to set up the map and look for those kills.
Really small thing I want to point out when the crowd cheered for Jensen autoing Rainbow once. It's actually bigger than it looks because it put bone plating on cooldown, so that next time he does go for a poke with like the 40-second cooldown that has, he'll actually get the damage to stick, and that's pretty useful as the top laners fight back and forth. Klepto, by the way, for the GP, again, Grasp has been the much more common keystone in the form of what he can as Ziv will try to push in.
To see how that one plays out. I feel like that's a very risky move by Impact because Cho'Gath is something that can actually match GP with really great. Part of the way that he can actually he's so strong really early on with Grasp auto. Can't do that here, so he's probably going to over some lane priorities.
And as long as you can access the wave, back up the grasp of the Undying, you can trade very efficiently with the parlay. That's the trading pattern you see. Also keeps a wave fairly neutral. How they're going something like Kleptomancy does remove some of those options. I feel like Impact is going to have to continue to push the wave. Because if Ziv ever is able to trade onto him, he'll kill him. And then the danger of pushing the wave is if you get hit by a rupture, you might just die anyway.
And we've seen Vizicachi dominate this matchup when he played Cho'Gath versus Gangplank. It was with an early gank though, so really we'll see how that works out as Rainbow. You can already see just even the fact that he's been able to block aftershocks and get trading, even if he can't shove the wave that quickly, makes it stronger.
Yes, the move as well ran forward to dodge the chain. Jensen didn't get the full trade out there as well. Want to put a TP on Jensen. We sometimes see cleanse on the block to get out of the flash engage combos. Jensen will not have that luxury if a flip escape comes in.
However, it is important to note the fact that Jensen still does have a potion available, whereas Rainbow has just chugged through every charge right now in lane trouble. While his parity in the HP bars, and it's going to be a slight advantage for the TL mid laner. And this is a problem right now with Lissandra. She is very resource intensive.
This is now TL slightly outnumbered as they fight over this bottom river. We've seen these fights go interesting for LCS teams before. They're still sticking around. Dublin gets flashed onto, his shields are there, and Albus gonna look for a whole bunch of damage. Not Albus, that's the whole team, but still Alex taking the bunch there. Double force to flash away. Core has to flash as well. His spells are on cooldown, and now looking a little bit more. Alex finds another slow. The flash in for Rainbow, and they're gonna find 400 gold. Core JJ drops as well.
And this is the thing about getting an early game comp. You have to be able to generate the lead. And once again, a North American team fights in the river, and it goes horribly.
You could see Doublet and Core JJ actually had the lane priority in the bottom lane, but Xmithy spends so long on the Scuttlecraft, it allows Ezreal to make it all the way into the river, and Doublet is the one that's getting caught out. Normally when you have bot priority, if you just skip with your jungler, the other team can't do this to you, but Doublet and Xmithy are out of sync, and then they think they're in the clear after flashing the wall, but Rainbow then has the mid lane push, willing to commit everything to get the root, and that's what gives AHQ the early edge.
And the decisiveness from AHQ, I feel like this is what we saw last time they played against Liquid, a fearless game plan. And again, we see, once again, everything thrown in there. That's going to be a flash used on Alex as well as Rainbow, but ultimately they do get the kills they needed.
There's the TP out of Doublet with a very awkward purchase there, a longsword and a dagger. Components of later items. See if they can turn that one around right now. 900 gold lead puts AHQ ahead, about what you expect for early kills like those.
Now it's a flashless bottom. Longer is what they want to be able to play through, but it's so difficult now that they don't have river control and they don't have flashes on either of those players. So they're not really able to play through top anyway. It's meant to be a weak side top laner. The fact that the strength of their team now has to play conservatively will put Team Liquid behind for a good portion of this game.
And it should be on cooldown for when Alex does get towards that level 6. He will be able to get level 5 off the 2 remaining camps. Second buff is going to spawn in just a couple of minutes. So when you have a look at how this game should play out, he should end up on the bottom side of the map with that ultimate, with a flashless bottom lane to attack.
TV comes back into the top side now as well. Managed to get pretty decent recalls on both sides. Impact with Sheen plus some extra mana regen. And And on the other side, you got the full Ninja Tabby is there, so that Ziv can chase his opponent down. Right, no boost in the gangplank. That can make things really, really scary. Nice root right there. Guarantees that Aftershock gets on. That crazy not
Wonder where the next play is going. That's why Smith gets her shadow coverage. Worried about this play. The 2v2 from Cassandra level 6 is pretty strong.
Let's go with early magic resistance as well. So should be able to shrug off a lot of what Smithy's damage and Jensen's damage is at this stage of the game. No penetration picked up. And you can see that is very tanky. Well, surprisingly tanky for this stage of the game.
Let's see what AHQ can do here, because they've had a few advantages throughout this group stage that they have been unable to close out as Alex moves towards bottom, and they're looking to finish it a little bit.
down, spotting him, but with the wave controlled as it is, the control ward dies just after it's placed. 100 gold difference for that kind of situation, but at least they spot the gank and no one dies for it.
However, I do like this from Alex because the start of every good aggressive play is control. And look how much of that they have on the bottom side without flashing very hard for TL to be able to push out in that bottom lane. Now they're being baited in the bottom side jungle. So you can see that this gives Alex more choice. And either look to counter jungle, maybe go for that red buff once it respawns. Current dive's always going to be on the table. And it looks like as they bring Rainbow into the play, that is what AHQ has decided.
Flashless, altless double if this would be a tough one to avoid.
4v3 on level 5. Here comes the potential dive on in. Jumps forward, looks for the ulti, finds the root, finds a whole lot of damage for the knockup, comes in for short JJ. This could be the turnaround. A double root, but it's still a 2-for-1. No, 2-for-2 as kills come across.
Jensen's on his way.
Only one died actually for TL. It's actually been a positive situation so far as you've got a lot happening across this side. A big damage as Sarah's gonna go down and Waco's gonna get hit, knocked into the air. Yet again, Team Liquid find a way to turn around the fight. No way out for the Ezreal. Auto attack slowly but surely. Jensen finds the kills.
And sometimes comp is just king. TL's comp is designed to play towards the bottom lane. And you saw even with the advantage, even with the early movement, Gangplank ultimate just swings the tide of that dive.
And that can be so huge for TL's morale. Starting the day, losing to Dom1, starting this early game, down 0-2. And a good idea by AHQ to go in with this Lysandra, but they don't quite have the burst damage. And I think Core JJ also got the Guardian Shield right here to make it very difficult for TL to die. Also, massive props to Doublelift for getting such a multi-route, even though he was the target of that dive. And then finally Jensen does arrive, and I think does the right thing, right? He just cuts off the Ezreal, makes sure he kills the Yuumi first, and then it's easy to clean up and get the kills on the right.
That's the important thing here. Watch Smithy. As soon as he gets the body slam, he leaves. Core JJ not even auto attacking. They want the gold onto Jensen. We've already seen his LeBlanc wreak havoc across Summoner's Rift once at this world. Now has himself parity back in that lane after a disaster itself.
Gotta give a huge shout out to Core JJ for how he played the fight. Stayed as far away as possible to not be in the CC phase. That he was available to give double the shields and land the double knockup to help secure those kills. So optimal play right there. Made sure he didn't die first and had all the cooldowns available. Is now this game state, look at this, 600 gold lead for Team Liquid. This is one they can absolutely win.
And now on the flip side, we're going to have a period of time where Smithy has the availability of ganking bottom lane just because of the fact that Ezreal now doesn't have summoner spells. You always get the 2-for-1 special if you bring a Yuumi in as well.
Absolutely. We'll see how much Liquid is able to play like Liquid. Because in the LCS, when they'd have a 2-kill Jensen, they can take so much vision control over the river and just crash plays down. They've also had a few disastrous river and dragon fights so far world. They're looking to push through and they're looking to run their race.
Got 3 people here and explosive cask available. Do they pull the trigger? The answer so far is no. Smite fight is gonna go to Alex, and there might be a slow coming out of Yuumi. Don't quite catch Core JJ there.
And strange play there from Liquid because it looked like they had all the boxes checked. They had Core JJ rotating early. Ultimate was available, as you mentioned, Freak. So that would have been a play that I would have liked to see them go for. They had perfect vision, shooted Gragas's cast. A little bit hesitant to pull on the trigger.
They're still going to try to make some type of play happen bottom, though, as you can see already getting control. Well, Jensen went missing, but they pull off. You can see Jensen again showing mid.
A little bit low up here, not going to land the barrel though. Impact can walk in for a Q. Run another 5 gold and walk right back out. Is Core still waiting around? Now he's on a ward. Has to be a little respectful of the fact that Alex definitely sees him. The fight now on the bottom side, forcing the ult. trading those back and forth. Longer cooldown though on Dublin.
Yeah, however, ult for ult trade is a good tool for Liquid if they're still able to push on that bottom lane. Shooting ultimate is one of the only tools they have to take away a guy coming in front. I feel like they wouldn't be completely upset, and there is a time now where Impact is going to have his ult available, and Ziv is not going to have a way to impact the play. So I still think they should look for it, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case.
I think bottom side pressure will be consistent for them. Have to give credit to Impact using an ultimate bottom, going Kleptomancy, not Grasp, and still being at CS parity with Ziv. So helping keep Team Liquid in this game. And it's just about bottom side pressure and whether or not TL feels like they need to rush in this one, which with the normal Team Liquid composition, they don't typically have to, but you do want to see them eventually get control of the bottom side and get that mountain.
And I don't think it's about rushing. I think it's about looking for the plays that should be yours. You know, when you don't have some of the spells available on the bottom lane, when you misburn the ultimate, that should be a time that you can still go aggressive because you do have, I'm sure they still have scaling options available. But I want to see a decisive Liquid come out because I feel like they could be the game that lots of people are taking for granted in their group. But they have to be able to beat IG if they want to proceed in this group stages.
Well, certainly. We're going to see now as this moves forward. Ziv finds himself a knockup. Been okay so far as the level 9 Cho'Gath has been just in lane the whole time, hasn't been able to TP down the bottom lane, hasn't been able to do much of anything compared to Impact. He's had that bot lane ultimate. And if you go equal after getting counterpicked, and yet the GP also helps the bottom lane, that is obviously a matchup going Team Liquid's way. Looking at the game state again, 900 gold separates the two.
And if the HQ goes for a fight, I think it would be relatively soon now that they're on Proto Belt for Lissandra. That's a big power spike. It doesn't necessarily mean he can outshove the wave because the mana costs are still very high, but if he doesn't get jumped on early, his in-fight power is at its height.
And another key cooldown is going to be Alex's stop. That allows Jarvan that one-time reckless abandon, you know, dive on the back line and just secure the ultimate. Obviously, there are ways for both people on the game. With Ratchat, if there is ever a time that you can throw everything at TL, maybe around a Mouse Dragon, maybe around something like that, it could be now.
Damage there, no electrocute triggered though, and it just clears away some minions.
I think we also have to keep in mind, AHQ hasn't been the best team at having advantages in closing or getting the right play started. So TL does have control of this, and we're wondering if AHQ is going to be able to make the right play. They, you think, would want to do something around Jensen in the mid lane, who's gone cleanseless against Lissandra, but Alex hasn't been able to find any approach and is actually falling fairly behind in this game.
There's the Mountain Drink attempt now, 14 minutes into the game, but it is being hit. Control wards inside the pit. Team Liquid control bot and mid lane, and no one is even approaching the river right now. Should be a pretty easy pickup now. Still no answer being seen. In fact, the target is not sighted.
But when the game is like this, when they're splitting the map, I always love to just cast my eyes to the mini-map and check out what the top laner did. Impact sat his way. He didn't go up there to be able to contest anything. Instead, walked down river, checked out the Scuttle Crab. Knew that the Jarvan was taken. But knew that Jarvan in a one-on-one fight was not going to be able to beat him down. So that's very good weak side play from Impact. You can see him hovering between lanes as well. This is what we do when we judge how well a top laner plays weak side. Maybe someone like the Shy, already still at his turret trying to collect that farm. Impact backing very far away.
Yeah, you just saw another version of that, right? Didn't know if the Jarvan was sitting in the Triburst, didn't know if Cho was following the wave, sees that Cho's not with the wave, okay, no dive, cool, I can take the farm. This is why he so frequently has these zero-death games, and yet when he does know where the jungler is, takes those trades aggressively, fights for his farm, stays equal.
And even though this has been a very slow early game, it's been well controlled by TL. The fight in the river could have very easily just snowballed into a disastrous game, but you can tell the overall pace of the game is slower by the fact the Rift Herald is still alive. How many games is the first Drake taken at 14 minutes and then Rift still up? So you can see that AHQ actually had that first early chance to take control of the game, was unable to convert, and now TL is in the back.
And you can actually see TL making their way through a lot of these lanes. You can see that maybe it is going to be Herald on the card next because 4JJ deploys straight to the river. You can see Double Lift flipping into the top side of the map. And they're going to be able to get control over this area. Very good pathing once again from Smithy. He wants to be there early, ignores the bottom side camps, knows that they can generate a fight. However, Double Lift right now is under threat.
It's the ult to get away from the knock with the very least. That is still a large cooldown missing, and once again, he'll be under threat next time you want to do something like this.
Well, that was very surprising to Double Lift the Ziv stayed up there. That's actually the play that TL ran against Damwon to pick up a kill in the top lane. It's the fake swap where you're expecting the top laner to go and he doesn't. The fact that he dodged that is fairly beneficial for TL.
Once again, trading blows with Rainbows. Jensen as the Herald is under attack, but now Alex is here. This smite fight could be a bit difficult. Looking at the eye going down, the smite comes over, nicely done there, and 1,000,000 damage comes across. Xmithie's already gone. AHQ showing big signs of life.
And as much as I praised TL before, you have to criticize them there for taking an undermanned Rift Herald fight. The fact that Ziv had done the fake swap and stuck around, Impact was in the bottom lane, so therefore TL shouldn't have stayed on the Rift Herald. If they just wait, eventually Ziv would have had to match that way, then they could have gone for the Herald.
Because there is no lose situation there for TL. They have the strongest 2v2, so if Ziv stays top to try and fight over the Herald, they're just going to build an advantage on the bottom side of the map. If Ziv never collects that, you're going to have an out-of-control gameplay, so completely agree with you. That is an overreach. And this is what they need to clean up. You already see Jensen has rotated into this top side.
Double F, respectful of this. Oh, here comes the ult, and look at the immediate knock of ults from Fog of War. Waits that little internal cooldown out, and now CoreJJ just walks right away after that kill comes through.
Much better decisiveness from Liquid. They are able to pick up the kill, and you can see that they are also managing to farm the mid lane wave with Impact. That's a teleport they also got out of Ziv there. Very nice setup on the play.
That was a lot of damage very quickly.
Yeah.
Yes, really just evaporated under the turret. Now they move straight to mid.
They can threaten to dive on the Rainbow. Now that should be able to save him in case there's anything too spicy happening. But you never know. TP defensive comes in there. Someone hiding as well by not putting it on the outer turret, but going to be down there as they go. And Team Liquid call out the dive and just take the far walk away.
Okay, so now let's take stock of what's happening on the map. Liquid need to reset, and this is a great read from AHQ. They immediately drop the Rift Herald. They're either going to pull them out of the reset, which means they're not going to have the control wards or the items to fight, or they're going to get this turret.
A lot of damage at the very least. Xmithie could be in danger. Walks backwards, stays alive just enough. Explosive cast. Not going to find the engage, though. Not going to really find Stella. There goes the turret. Here comes the attempt from Jensen. But no, once again, they find Xmithie, and Gragas goes down twice in a row now. The re-engage on Ziv likely to not happen. Jensen in the wings going to find a route. There could be something. Impact coming over as well. Barrel chain lands. Half HP left. There's splitting a Shogun. Forcing the flash out. Here comes the route out of Yumi. And they're going to get a lot on Impact. Might be the re-engage. Ulti finds absolutely nothing, though. That cannon barrage hits nobody.
Good read by AHQ overall, and again, TL end up taking a 4v5 fight. You thought maybe the teleport would be enough to share or push AHQ off the turret, but Jensen kind of this whole time was looking for a flank in the back and never quite found it.
But look at where Impact is again. This is another time that TL are trying to defend a mid lane turret at a numbers disadvantage. There is just no way you can pull Impact into the playing time. So despite everything going right, that is a good ultimate from Xmithie. Jensen gets so many people on that. It's still just going to be a one-team fight for AHQ.
Yeah, AHQ has Lissandra. The way they win is going in Lissandra ulting a person and winning the fight. The engage is so darn reliable when compared to how many compositions have to function now. And TL is just not respecting it.
And I feel like the power of Yumi in those fights can never be understated. The continual heals that come across, the ability to make someone slightly tankier than you would expect, and just the additional space and damage that are able to manufacture. In this champion, so it's very hard to gauge the skill, but so many times I hear people be like, a 1v3, but really Yumi doing more than a fair share of lifting in those fights.
Yeah, and especially after so many of the nerfs, Yumi's laning phase is really weak with his scaling and sword. And that's why we often see this for Yumi, because you get a bunch of relic hold into it, you get the Ludens. So, yes, before the game, bottom lane was unable to break the sword advantage. Ezreal Yumi's very weak. The later this game goes, the better the Yumi gets.
Xmithie just knocking down a ward right now. Yumi not quite finding any poke just yet, but going toward the Athene's build, the more supportive of the ones. I definitely have seen a lot of the Luden's Echo builds where you really do funnel into her. I think that's usually when you have the Relic Shield teammate. Ones like this, it's going to have extra MR, extra CDR, extra shielding, extra healing.
And so now we're entering the stage of the game where I feel like AHQ have kind of botched their lane assignments. I would love to still have the Cho'Gath into the gangplank and be playing a heavy 1-3-1. So they've had to give up their own blue buff to recover the lane states. Now they've found this, what I want to see them do is shove this mid lane wave up as far as it can possibly go and look to try and chip down on these outer turrets. In a 1-3-1, if you have mid lane priority, you guarantee first move to every single play, and you should start being able to pull this team fight comp apart.
Game state right now, 2,000 gold difference. Team Liquid with non-combat Drakes. Ocean and Mountain. Next Mountain spawns in 3.5 as they once again look at where they can be. Impact took some time top lane, couldn't knock down that turret though. Still the only turret Teal have taken is that bottom outer a long time ago. AHQ broke mid, that's it for them. As Smithy takes down a blue buff and waits for Jensen to come over to hand it over.
And the game can still turn very quickly. Liquid has a Mountain Drake and good pick potential. So if Core and Jensen find one good kill onto Alex, the overall damage of AHQ is relatively low if they don't get a good initiation. So 1 or 2 picks for TL could very quickly turn into a Baron, and that would be the game. They just have to find the right opportunity.
And you can see that upsetting how AHQ want to play. They're continually swapping this LeBlanc around, fishing for the favorable matchups, trying to set Jensen up for success. And every time they do that, they're able to grab, a little bit of mid lane priority, maybe a cheeky camp, or the potential to be able to dive a top lane turret.
And it's at least the claw away. And you talk about getting around into lane matchups. Team Liquid very much up in farm. You're seeing 20 for the Gangplank, only a few for